Revenge is the watchword. Revenge! Revenge indeed. Revenge. Why are you talking about revenge? Well, Joe Biden, old man Biden, he's about to. Joe Biden is seeking revenge on Nancy Pelosi and the rest of the coup leaders. That's right. Because apparently Joe Biden seems to be going after something that's a little bit close to Nancy's heart. Money. So Biden said this, and I just want you guys to hear this very carefully. I think we should be changing the law that we have to abide by at the federal level, that nobody in the Congress should be able to make money in the stock market while they're in Congress. Say it ain't so, Joe. What? Now, hold on. I'm not holding my breath. I'm not expecting Joe Biden to do anything. I know, but it's just like, wouldn't it be like a big FU that Joe Biden walks into Congress, no pants, no underwear. He is in Congress pantsless. Goes before the House committee floor. There's Nancy Pelosi right there. Joe Biden just drops a deuce and says, hey, no more insider trading, and does it as like revenge towards the Democrats. Because, let's be clear here, okay? The whole entire Democratic primary of 2024 was one big crap show, okay? Joe Biden was not mentally fit to run for re-election. And as the entire primary was clearly rigged for him, and corporate media was saying he was fine, and then he got devastated by Donald Trump in their first debate, and then comes in Kamala Harris to remove him. Something tells me that Joe Biden didn't want to give up. He didn't want to give up power. That's fine. There's a lot of problems with Joe Biden. But I just find it funny that this conversation is being humored, that it's being entertained. And so let's talk about it, okay? Let's bring this up here for all you lovely, beautiful people. Let's share it with all of you. Let's bring this up here. Just want to bring this up here.
Biden doesn't care as much about being president. He cares more about getting revenge against the coup leaders. Joe just threw a hand grenade at Nancy Pelosi while she's stuck in a hospital bed in Germany.
I don't know how you look your constituents in the eye and know because the job they gave you an inside track to make more money. I think we should be changing the law that we have to, but we abide by at the federal level, that nobody in the Congress should be able to make money in the stock market while they're in the Congress.
Wow. We're going to rewind that again one more time, but it's like I could see the Democrats right now yelling at Joe Biden, wondering if he's straight in the head or not. Joe, please tell me, are you really going to ruin our insider trading thing? I mean, think about us. Think about the poor congressmen and women. We can't survive on a 6-figure salary. And maybe, I don't know, as for revenge, Joe Biden says, here's what I think about it.
And here's what I think about it.
I'm not expecting anything to come of this. I don't think anything will come of it. But it's funny, though. Let's rewind that one more time because, revenge is the watchword of the day.
In a hospital bed in Germany.
I don't know how you look your constituents in the eye and know because the job they gave you an inside track to make more money. I think we should be changing the law that we have to, but we abide by at the federal level, that nobody in the Congress should be able to make money in the stock market while they're in the Congress.
Biden didn't want to ban Congress from insider trading during his entire 50-year career in D.C. But
after 50 years, maybe it's like, I got my bag, now nobody can't get a bag. That could be it. So I want to have democracy in the chat. Was Joe Biden being 100% there? Was he cognitive in the head? Type 1 for yes, kid, he meant it and he was sincere. Type 2, he might not be all there, but he said something that he wouldn't say if he was still 100%. How does that sound? I wonder how many 2s will be in the chat. Number 2, doing a douche.
Before he leaves, he gives Nancy a little gift. This isn't about stopping corruption. It's about getting retribution. We asked the White House if the president has called Nancy to check in on her after she broke her hip in Belgium. We haven't heard back. So if Nancy wants to get rich in the House, she might have to do it the old-fashioned way, peddling influence like the big guy.
Interesting. Interesting indeed. Now, hold on, folks. There's a little bit more that's happening with Joe Biden, okay? Because we got to address it. We got to address it here for everybody to see. Because when we look at the entire Democrat Party about Joe Biden and what he represents, I mean, he represents corporations. He represents institutional change. You know, not institutional change. He represents the institution through and through of how to enrich yourself while screwing over the people. Now, he's been in Congress for a very long time, and he's been on the wrong side of history. If you've been tuning into Hard Lens Media or any other independent media network, you have seen the story get repeated about how he was against the civil rights movement, how he's against real upward social mobility for working class Americans. You know, he was a guy who was proud of the crime bill. This is a guy who said he'd gladly prostitute himself to corporations. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of many of the crimes surrounding Joe Biden, but I guess Joe Biden wants revenge because, folks, he's going on vacation now. It's almost as if he doesn't give an F, which kind of explains why also he's giving a lot of money to Ukraine right now and instigating that whole war there. You know, hey, Joe, listen, not going to tell you what to do, but maybe if you didn't, incite this war, things would be a little bit better.
It was more or less a standard presidential policy announcement. The main difference being Trump isn't president yet. A fact that's getting easier and easier to forget as Joe Biden seems to be disappearing from the public stage as his term comes to an end.
I guess what I'm more concerned about is less like, am I seeing Joe Biden enough? Maybe he's right that people don't want to hear from him. It's more like, do I feel confident right now that Joe Biden behind the scenes is thinking of every single way he can try to future-proof the White House? Do I think Joe Biden himself is like at command thinking about this? Like right now, like I don't. I just honestly don't.
These guys, by the way, coming to this conclusion here in December as Joe Biden is going out the door, when the rest of America came to this conclusion months and months and months and months and months ago, is the funniest thing I've heard today.
Can I also just say,
honestly.
I think the other point that John Lovett is making here is that, again, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris ran on Donald Trump being an existential threat to the existence of this country. He is not governing that way right now with the last few weeks that he has left. That's very telling.
I agree. And I don't understand why. And I wish he would, or if he's not, at least the people around him should be thinking about these things. You need to democracy proof, for lack of a better word, this coming administration. I mean, Donald Trump stands for
democracy proof. We don't live in a democracy. We live in a constitutional republic in theory. But don't worry, I know, before you type anything down, it's really an oligarchy. Because thank you, Citizens United. Thank you, McCutcheon decision. Thank you, corrupt politicians, for showing us that all what matters here is whoever gives you the most money has the most speech. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that grand?
everything that Joe Biden does not stand for. And if Democrats are true to their values, they will do everything they can with the power that they have right now, which is limited, to prevent Donald Trump from doing the things that he's already announced that he's going to do.
There's that word again, values, right? It comes down to principles. What do you stand for, and what are you willing to do in order to make what you stand for the reality right now? I think that Joe Biden is doing what a president normally does in his last month. He's issuing pardons, he's doing commutations, he's doing the things that you normally do. You get ready for the transition, you kind of back off a little bit. I think the thing that's different is that Donald Trump is really trying to act like he's president already. And so it's not that Biden's doing anything different. I think that Trump is doing something different.
Biden is on vacation right now in Delaware. I mean, I don't know.
Isn't that great? Well, the whole country, and I get, look, I get it's the holidays. I get it, but Biden's on vacation, folks. Hey, there's a war happening in Ukraine. Because people didn't vote for me, or because people didn't fight for me harder. More money there. What could go wrong, WW3? Joe Biden being vindictive towards his party as the Democrats implode. On the one hand, I'm laughing. On the other hand, who is really running this country? And number three, hey, who doesn't like revenge, right? Well, revenge. Revenge is a cold dish. Once you bite into it, it will consume you. But perhaps, what we can really take away is that this is his maybe big threat to the Democrats, especially as the oncoming administration comes in. Perhaps this is just Joe Biden trying to make things as uncomfortable for everybody as possible, while he still, I guess, is still somewhat coherent. Folks, do you think that there will be anything done about insider trading in Congress? Let's have democracy in the chat. Come on, let's have democracy in the chat. Type 3-4, maybe this is what's going to do it. It'll be the true stepping stone. This is the thing that's going to shake things up. This is what's going to do it. But the answer is no, it won't. Because if you don't, listen, we have mentioned them, Unusual Whales, numerous times. Unusual Whales has definitely done a huge amount of work, especially when it comes time to calling out these politicians. And I remember this tweet right here. This was pinned on January 2nd. Okay. This was pinned January 2nd on the Unusual Whales Twitter timeline. All right. Just released a full report on politicians trading in 2023. Like every year since 2020, U.S. politicians beat the market, and many in Congress made unusually timed tradings, resulting in huge gains. It's always been like this. Your fantastic United States representative or U.S. senator is making a killing in the stock market. How does this happen? This happens when you have bribery running amok. We have legalized corruption. And there's been attempts to try and address this, but yet it always gets stopped, surprisingly, in Congress. This year, Democrats absolutely dominated the Republican counterparts. Democrats were up 31% and Republicans 18%. This was just from early this year in January. Meanwhile, S&P 500 itself was up 24%. Many traded despite conflicts in their committees in record numbers. My goodness, many members in Congress made huge gains in their portfolios after a market record year. Sadly, many members had more trades than legislative votes this year. What? So they're doing more trading than legislative votes. Here are some of the highest realized gains this year. We got Josh Gottheimer. We got row your boat, Ro Khanna. Look at this. Look at all these people. Democrats and Republicans. What is absolutely insane is that Congress was trading options once again in 2023. Notionally, they traded more in 2023 than last year. Look at all of this. Politicians, Democrat and Republican. And here's a longer table of many members' portfolios of returns. Look at this. Famous traders include Republican Dan Crenshaw, Nancy Pelosi. Say it ain't so. What's going on?
I
will just say,
I
actually worked at the White House to turn the lights off for Obama. And I do.
You turned the lights off for Obama? What? That was your only job?
Hear what you're saying. Like, I think people want him to do many more executive orders. I think the reason, I'm not saying I agree with it one way or the other, but I think the reason why they're not is because they know they will be overturned immediately. And I will say, when we, after Donald Trump won, we knew we were already going to be leaving. So we already had things in place that we were doing for our transition. But I know that there are people working there doing things that I think on the beginning of in the last 20 days of his presidency, some things will still continue to get rolled out.
Are you arguing for administrative sabotage? I mean, is that what you're saying?
No, that's not at all what I'm arguing for.
You're saying they should you should somehow proof the government against the will of the people?
I'm sorry. You want to talk about the will of the people? You want to go back 4 years? Because we could talk about the will of the people. We could talk about what I'm saying, Scott. No, thank you for putting those words in my mouth. That's not at all what I'm saying.
You said proof.
Hold on. Don't you love it when CNN has these little back and forth fights in their little privileged tower?
What I'm saying is that we have a statement of values. I think you're absolutely onto something. There's a statement of values that we stand for as Democrats. And those executive orders will be overturned. But I think it is important to signal a statement of values. It is important to signal what you oppose. You oppose a lot of these anti-democratic small d tax that this coming president is taking. And so if you really believe that and you've campaigned on it for the last 4 years, you need to have a statement of values that you put out there. To your point, Scott, actually, if you want to talk about what Joe Biden believes or doesn't believe, Joe Biden does believe in the peaceful transfer of power. Well, you know what? Even to a fascist, if that's what the
Okay, again with the slurs in the name. So here's the thing. My personal opinion, Biden isn't going to do anything about insider trading. It's just interesting that he's talking about it. Perhaps he's doing it just to scare up Nancy and the Democrats, or either that get people to talk about him and be like, oh, geez, maybe we really could have given him a chance. And maybe that's the thing. there's one thing to mention, that perhaps maybe Joe Biden in his last moments is trying to show to people, see, if you gave me a second chance, things wouldn't be so bad. But no, you went with Kamala, and that's why you lost. That could be it. That could be one of the many reasons. But insider trading is not going to be stopped in Congress. And trust me on it. Trump, being a Republican, being part of the system, because he is part of the system, that's not going to go away anytime soon. And if something does happen, I'll be shocked. But there's always the loophole in which these slimy politicians can wiggle on through and keep on doing their fun little schemes, while the rest of us struggle day in, day out. But it's also important to really address this oncoming situation, because this is right now a time where people are still panicking. You still got people melting down on TikTok and on social media saying, oh no, here comes Donald Trump. I get it. Surely I do. But the problem is, the real issue is, you got people using these slurs again. Of course, you got, and when I mean slurs, I mean the word of communist or fascist, right? You know, I hear people saying, oh, Chicago is filled with communists, politicians, socialists. And no, they're not. Off the mark on that one, of the highest order there. Or use it at people calling Trump or Trump supporters fascists. You ruin the meaning in the term. You're only using it as a slur, right? I mean, let's be clear. The current Democrat Party is neoliberal. The current Republican Party is neoconservative. These are two institutions that do not give a damn about the American people. So as you go on with your day, just remember, as we end 2024, who's going to be following Unusual Whales on Twitter when probably sometime in January 2nd of 2025, or maybe sometime in the first week of January, they're going to post how much of a huge financial killing our fantastic politicians made in 2024. Brace yourselves, folks. It won't change. There'll be a whole list of people there, Democrat and Republican, earning the big bucks, having gold-plated healthcare, living their best lives. And they somehow still have support from the people. And they wonder why people don't trust government anymore, why people don't have faith in electoral politics. It's because it's been bought. Always has been.